press record. All right. I'm going to start to bring everybody into the room, share my screen. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate everybody for coming on, and those who have came on. We want to go ahead and get started. And so, normally what we do, welcome to Mental Health for Entrepreneurs. And so normally what I do is I just, I try to come on and introduce myself and tell about the company. So I'm going to do that briefly. My name is Marissa Johnson. I am the managing member for Cascades Holdings and the managing member for Buy Black Food Pantry. We're dedicated to helping small businesses in the South deliver world-class service. We engage in marketing research and development, manufacturing and sale of consumer packaged goods. We specialize in minority product and business development, sales and marketing training, integrated marketing communication efforts, and business research and private investigations. Our core values are quality, innovation, reliability, community and trust. We do these resource webinars specifically to help entrepreneurs and small businesses in our community. We're dedicated to helping our community and entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so tonight, our special guest will be Dr. Marissa Johnson. I'm going to take the time to introduce Dr. Marissa Johnson, and then we'll be able to go right into the presentation. Dr. Marissa Johnson is a licensed master social worker who also has a doctoral degree in professional counseling, where she specializes in suicide prevention and depression. Dr. Johnson attended Mississippi Valley State University, the University of Southern Miss, and Mississippi College. She has over 8 years of experience working with children, families, and individuals as a social worker and a therapist. Her professional life includes a commitment to serving the needs of adolescents and adults in therapeutic settings. Dr. Johnson works closely with a cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavior therapy with her clients. Dr. Johnson also utilizes the client-centered approach. Dr. Johnson has studied many modalities to bring healing to those in need. She is a lifelong learner, inspired by the ambience of opportunity and available to broaden and enriching the lives of her clients. Dr. Johnson has developed private practice, LB Johnson Therapeutics, PLLC, which is named and inspired by her late brother, Billy Johnson, and her late mother, Loretta Johnson. Dr. Johnson has recently developed a virtual, table talk and a conversational topic called wine therapy. She'll talk more about that. I had a chance to watch some of Wine Therapy. It's a great show. And so we definitely want to allow you guys to watch that when the time comes. It's on the YouTube channel, and she airs live on Facebook and Instagram. She also works currently in the private practice, Let's Talk, I'll Listen, where she provides individual counseling. Dr. Johnson has been invited to speak on many platforms to discuss the importance of therapy. She recently presented a suicide prevention and awareness last month presentation on the platform Beautiful Sisters Strengthening Sisters. It's a podcast show, The Definition of Man. Dr. Johnson is also a co-author of inspirational books, Breathe, and writes When the Caterpillar Thought Her Life Was Over, She Became a Butterfly. Dr. Johnson's favorite quote is, "Your diagnosis does not define who you are, but we should still talk about it." And so, as you can see, she's a very accomplished young professional. It's a pleasure to have her on today to talk about some of the great things. And so now, without further ado, I present to you guys Dr. Johnson.
Hey everybody, I'm excited to be here. I know this is like a presentation style, but I do like to talk back and forth with the viewers, kind of engage you all, because I don't want to bore y'all with a long drawn out presentation. It's good to engage, and I like that. So I'll be doing that within this presentation. Hold on, Stephen, can you mute your camera?
Oh, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. My supporters are on. Hey, Money. So I'm excited. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I did.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. So I did.
I'm sorry, I'm going on mute.
So I did get my PowerPoint together, and I'm actually about to share my screen. Let me share my screen with you all. Let's see. The screen is disabled. I can't, it won't let me share my screen. All right. Hey, Mr. Bryce. So here we go. So I can move it from here too on my end. I can't hear you. You're muted. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, no, but I can, you know, you can kind of direct me and I'll do it for you.
No, no problem. We can do that. We work as a team.
That's
all right.
great.
So, all right, y'all. So I'm here talking about mental health for entrepreneurs. Mental health is my passion due to so many things that happened in my past. My family, as you know, my business is named after my mom and my brother who passed away due to some sort of mental health and mental illness. So I'm excited to talk to you entrepreneurs and small business owners about mental health. When you get into this presentation, you will see why it's important to put your mental health as a priority and also seek a professional. And then it's just going to give you a whole breakdown. All right. So we can go to the next slide. All right. So first, I want to start off with saying, what is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Our mental health affects how we think, we feel, and we act. And for entrepreneurs, that means your mental health pretty much decides what's gonna go for you. Like how you feel, okay, maybe that's how you might treat your employees today. Or you know, how you gonna treat a client, the way you act, your behavior. So it pretty much kind of drives you, just being honest. So mental health is very, very important. And mental health determines how we handle stress, the decision we make, and how we relate to other people. And stress is one of the top factors, risk factors when it comes to building your business. It's very stressful, y'all, especially when you're first starting out. So we're gonna kind of go into that a little bit. All right, so factors that contribute to mental health. So we have biological factors such as genes or brain chemistry, some things we can't control. Some other factors that contribute to our mental health is life experience, trauma, abuse. So those are things that affect our mental health as well. Some of the life experiences are things that, you know, we dealt with as a kid and we still dealing with as an adult, right? So that's part of trauma. If you don't face it, it'll face you. That's just that. So in family history, as I stated, my family has a history of mental health, mental illness. So I have to always check myself, and that's why I'm in therapy, so that I won't miss that step and make sure that I always cover myself with that, okay? So family history of mental health problems as well. So mental health warning signs, y'all. It's always a warning sign for everything that you do. I promise you. It's a warning sign when you're about to be happy. It's a warning sign when you feel stressed. It's a warning sign when you feel like you're about to be angry. There are warning signs out there to tell us something is near, right? So we're gonna go into that. So these are just a few early warning signs for mental health. If you are eating too much or sleeping too much, that may be a sign. If you know if that's not your regular pattern, that may, you know, maybe your mental health may be off a little bit. You kind of need to go get that checked. Pulling away from people and usual activities. So I know you hear the word isolation. So isolation is when you withdraw from everybody that you usually are around. Your family, you withdraw from them, you isolate yourself. And for entrepreneurs, sometimes when they isolate themselves, they pretty much isolate themselves to their business and nothing more, you know, because that's what you feel like is yours. You can control that. So you isolate yourself, having low energy or no energy, feeling numb or like nothing matters, having unexplained pains. I was just talking to my kids today about how your mental health affects your body. It does. It like if you're stressed out, you can tell me as many warning signs as you know you have when you're stressed. You can tell when your body is stressed. Your body may tense up. You may be drained, different things like that. So your body does take effect on mental health. Feeling helpless or hopeless. We're gonna get into that later on, how that ties into entrepreneurship and small businesses, and smoking or drinking. This is what I call self-medicating. Sometimes when we're going through a mental breakdown, or we don't feel our best self, we self-medicate with drugs. Some people go to drugs. You can self-medicate with a lot, but I know one of the biggest things are going to drugs, because drugs take you away and it distracts you from what's going on. So some people do that. And feeling confused, forgetful, or on edge, worried, that's called anxiety, okay? Yelling or fighting, you're not able to kind of control yourself as you usually would. You're starting to see your behavior change. That is another warning sign. Experience severe mood swings that cause problems in your relationships, having persistent thoughts and memories that you can't get out your head. And that's a part of trauma, by the way. And hearing voices or believing that things are not true, that's a part of a mental illness. They can be schizophrenic or whatever. Thinking about harming yourself. If all of you know, you can think about some of the celebrities who have committed suicide due to so much, whatever that could have been too much attention, too much stress, just feeling lonely, even though you're at the top. And I talk about that as well within the presentation. So that takes effect on you as well. And the inability to perform daily tasks like your hygiene. When you start, some people actually, will not take a bath, you will not brush your teeth, you will not go outside your room because you don't have energy. So those are early warning signs of mental health. All right, so we're gonna talk about some positive things. Those were just some of the negative. We're gonna go to something positive. Okay. A positive mental health. This is a person who realized their full potential. Now, when your mental health is on point, you can reach whatever goal you want to reach. You can do whatever you want to do because you have nothing stopping you, nothing that's hindering you from being your best self. A person with positive mental health, they cope well with stresses of life. Some of us, we don't know how to cope. So that's why we go to things as far as, like I said, self-medicating. You go to drinking and smoking to get your mind away from whatever. It's just a distraction. That doesn't mean that you kind of dealt with whatever it was in front of you. Work productively. So that means you're actually on your A game when it comes to your whatever your business is. You're at your most productive point at that time, and making meaningful contributions to your community. So ways to maintain a healthy mental health is getting professional help. We're going to talk about a little bit why that's important later on in the presentation. Why it's important to seek a therapist. We do have people who are against therapists, or some may not understand what's the difference between a therapist and my pastor. It's a big difference. What's the difference between my wife and a therapist? It's a big difference. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Connecting with others, having a support system. Staying positive, keeping your positive mindset, getting physical, work out, do something, healthiness is a part of, staying positive and on the right track. So work out a little bit. It also takes away a little stress from time to time. So work out, eat healthy, helping others, and getting enough sleep. I tell my children all the time, like, if you don't get sleep, you'll start hallucinating because you're not getting rest and you can't be your best self. So please get your sleep and develop coping skills. And a therapist teaches you what some coping skills are that you can use in the time of whatever, crisis that you're in when it comes to building your business. All right. We can go to the next. All right. So what is an entrepreneur for? And maybe people on here who are not entrepreneurs yet. You know, I'm not gonna say you'll never be, maybe not yet. So let's talk about that. An entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business. They take risks and they enjoy, which they can enjoy the most rewards of. Entrepreneurs play a key role in the economy using their skills and initiative necessary to anticipate needs and bringing goods and new ideas to the market. So an entrepreneur, they can give to us, to the economy. All right, so an entrepreneur, this is some of the characteristics of some things that an entrepreneur deal with. Oh, you can go back. I'm sorry. I might have told you. I didn't know. Okay, there we go. An entrepreneur has vision. They have a vision, because you can't build a business with no vision. And you know how the word, write it down, make it plain. You know, I'm not saying it as verbatim because I don't have it in front of me, but I know what I'm saying. They're knowledgeable. For you to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a leader. Leadership is your biggest thing when it comes to being an entrepreneur. You take risks all the time. A startup is one of the hardest things in management, and you have to continue to have new and innovative ideas. So this is part of the entrepreneur. So I wanted to ask anyone that's on the web right now, is anyone an entrepreneur or starting a small business right now?
I'm considering it.
Oh, that's okay. This is great. So this is to really help you. Thank you, Stephen. Is anybody else on their way? I know Money has a book. So we're gonna talk about a little bit how that can be effective as you starting your own thing with books. So we're gonna go a little further. Okay. All right, so entrepreneurial characteristics, you have to be versatile. You have to be very, very flexible, very flexible. You have to be money savvy. And one of the biggest things, I got it in bold, an entrepreneur has to be resilient, because you're gonna have things that's gonna knock you down as you're starting your business. And we're gonna talk about a little bit of that, but you have to be resilient. And if you don't know how to be resilient, then starting a business is gonna be one of the worst struggles ever, because you may not be able to bounce back that business, and you starting whatever that hard hit that happens to you, you won't know how to get back up. So being resilient, you know, you get back up, doing it again, just like, hey, I'm letting it roll off, I'm back at it. You have to be very focused, and you have to be an effective communicator. So challenges, I did a little research, and challenges for new entrepreneurs that start up their business. And this is when I say you have to be resilient. A part of this is what can tear you down, especially mentally. So everybody or most people I know, even myself, we all think that when we start a business, that our family members gonna be the first one they're buying or picking up whatever we have. That's not true. That's not what I've seen recently, even with me starting my own business and a few other friends. They're people that they don't even know are the ones supporting them. So at the beginning, when you're starting up, you know, you don't have a lot of people that may be believing in you. So you're going to have lack of support. You're going to have, some of us may have lack of money. Nobody's going to invest in us because they don't know what we can really offer. So we're kind of struggling in that area. Some of us may have lack of confidence. You get that from starting up a business, because why? Well, I can just give an example off of Instagram. Some of us, we use Instagram as our platform to showcase our business. If we get 2 likes, then I don't know if I'm doing good. It'll take a toll on your mind. Seriously, it will. So lack of confidence is a challenge as well that new entrepreneurs have, and lack of experience and knowledge, right? So if you have to go through anything, you have to go through experience to get knowledge most times anyway. So that's a given. But these are just some of the challenges that you as an entrepreneur face. You can go to the next. There we go. So why consider mental health? That's what we get into. Let's talk about that. We don't went over what is mental health. We went over the warning signs, went over what the risk factors are, what contribute to it, and we also went over what is an entrepreneur. What are some of the challenges that you face when you're starting up a business? Just say small business owners, right? So why should you as a new business owner consider mental health? Well, it clearly says, let me move this down. Nearly 20% of American adults experience mental illness. I did this research, y'all, by the way. And 32% of entrepreneurs struggle with 2 or more mental health conditions. Dealing with mental illness can hurt your productivity. And You don't want your business to suffer because of it, but most importantly, you don't want to suffer from it, right? So that's even more important why you should consider mental health and seek a professional help. In fact, 13% of startups fail because founders have lost focus, which is a part of the challenge. 9% fail due to loss of passion. That's when you lost that confidence. That's when you feel like you had lack of support, right? And then fail because of burnout. All of us will sometime or another will have to deal with burnout. Burnout is one of the things that when you start up a business, if you burn yourself out and you don't have a balance, that would definitely take a toll on your mental health. I'm so serious. You have to take sabbatical? You'll have to take that before you even start. So be careful when you're doing it. All right, we can go to the next slide. So mental health challenges when it comes to entrepreneurs. Working long hours, which we talked about, that is what? Lack of sleep. I told you, if you don't sleep, you're gonna start hallucinating. And then I don't want to work with somebody who hallucinates. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't even help you. I can't invest in that. So working long hours because you're starting your business, so you want to make sure that it's one of the top, one of your top priorities, and you want to make sure you're putting your best effort into it. However, one thing you have to do is realize that you have to have a balance. So that's one of the challenges. Bending over backwards to get your startup. Lack of boundaries. That's when I've talked about boundaries so much this month that I ought to have this stuff down pack in my head. Boundaries are so important. When you're starting a business, you can definitely take a toll on every relationship you have, as well as your own self-care, because you're focused more on your business than your personal life and yourself. So when you don't take care of your self-care, if you don't give yourself self-care, then you will deteriorate. And then how are you going to work with your business? What are you going to do? Your business is going to fail as well because you're failing. I tell people all the time, you have to be your best self to help somebody else to even start something. You will worry and stress a lot. And I said in the beginning, being an entrepreneur, it gives a lot of stress. You will be stressed out trying to think of new things to do, maybe hiring somebody. Where do I start? Stress, it just comes over you. So stress is one of the biggest challenges. Burden with responsibility. You're responsible. You are responsible. And that can actually take a toll on your mental health because everything's on you. And feeling independent. And I talked about that, about the celebrities. You have a few of them that committed suicide, but they were famous. You would think they were happy. They got everything. They got their business. And you've been at the top so much, you feel alone. And that's what can happen when you become an entrepreneur as well, if you don't have that balance. So feeling independent, but also alone. All right, we can go to the next slide. All right, so some of the warning signs are warning signs for entrepreneurs when you know that your mental health may be affected. You're having a hard time focusing. You're probably maybe you could be working on one of your business plans, writing it down, and you don't even know what to say, like you can't think straight. So you have a hard time focusing. Always feeling very, very tired. We talked about that in the beginning, how you can have low energy or no energy. So that is another warning sign. Feeling emotional or tearful. So that's when you know your emotions are out of whack. You're just crying for no reason. Like, why am I crying? Why am I sad? Why just tears? I just feel overwhelmed. That's called being overwhelmed. Easily frustrated and irritated. I get frustrated now, but if I continuously get frustrated, and it's like you can say hey to me and I just don't, because you got a lot going on, you're overwhelmed. So that's a warning sign. You need to get your mental health together. Resorting to self-medicating. I said that earlier, smoking and drinking. You're doing stuff that you ain't never done that much before. Appetite changing. You're not eating, you're eating less. I think most people probably be so in tune to their business, starting it, that they lose their appetite. They don't want to eat because you're giving your all to your business, and having less interest in things that are enjoyable. And that's when you didn't put your boundary in place. So you let your job and what you want to do, your small business, take over everything that you ever had before. That's your sole focus, and you let everything else deteriorate. So you start losing focus in things that you used to find enjoyable, like hanging out with your girlfriends, your guy friends, spending time with your wife, your significant other, kids, all of that. All right, you can go to the next slide. And another big thing, you might end up going out of business, okay? I'm just being real. I kid you not. If you don't get your mental health together, I'm telling you, I want to share this story. I was actually working with a lady. She was a supervisor just like me at one of my jobs, and her mental health was totally off. Kid you not. Everybody knew it. And she showed all the warning signs. Oh, she was so angry. Oh my God. She was so angry. And we lost a lot of retention because of that. Over a year, she had workers coming in and out under her. It wasn't the workers, it was her. She didn't have herself together. And I hate for that to happen to you when your business is just popping. Okay. All right, next slide. So what are the effects? Your mental health is not key, or you're not taking care of it with starting a business or being an entrepreneur. It affects your productivity. I just said you'll lose your business. You know, you won't be productive as you need to be. Personal interactions are gonna lower. You may family may not want to be around you. Your workers might not want to be around you. They're probably gonna quit, because you're not where you need to be, and you're not showing them compassion, or you're not showing them that you're there and you care and you're fully there. That's the thing about being an entrepreneur. You have to fully be present. You can't partially be present. This is yours, so you need to be there fully. Your communication is off, and you're affecting your teamwork. Nobody wants to work with you if you don't have yourself together. Are we noticing? We're telling you to get help, and you're like, no, I'm good. So these are some of the things that it affects when your mental health is not where it needs to be. So let's talk about ways to deal with it, ways to deal with mental health. All right, so we got a few. So seek professional help. Therapist. I'm gonna get into why, but seek professional help if it's gotten that bad. Sometimes you can take a self mental health test online. They have them free where you can just kind of go in and say, let me see if my mental health is off. I should have put some in here, but I didn't. But you can just Google them and take a self-test to see where you are mentally. Find a supportive community, like a mentor, a role model. Talk to some of them people, because especially if they had a business before, put them in your life so they can tell you, look, you might go through this. This is how you bounce back. Have that supportive person there, so when you feel like you're so overwhelmed, they're there to help you and pick you up and show you, okay, this is what you can do. You can do that, this and that. Get active. We talked about working out. It's good to be healthy, even if you take a walk a mile a day. You're walking, but you understand sometimes when we're walking, we're thinking. We're able to process, okay, what's bothering me? What happened today? How can I do this better? How can I do that better? You're actually starting to have that self-time, self-care. I didn't put it in here, but I always say journal. Journal your thoughts, journal your feelings. Seriously, journal whatever it is. Eat healthy. Remember to always have self-care. Keep your self-care first. I always say to keep your self-care first before your business. Because if you don't have yourself together, your business is not going to be together. And separate your work from your personal life. Remember to do that, especially if you're married. Keep that separate, okay? Okay. We can go to the next slide. So you have options. Now, as you are an entrepreneur, I know you are super busy. I know this because I'm busy and I'm a therapist, but I know you're super busy. You really don't have time to go to an office. Now, if you do, because you like that one-on-one connection, that physical touch, I have a picture where we have a therapist and a lady, and they have their mask on. So we keeping ourselves safe. Even if you come in our office, we have to have a mask on. That's mandatory. However, if you cannot make your appointment in person, we have virtual therapy. You can be on your cell phone in therapy. Seriously, as long as you're in a quiet place, nobody can hear you talk about whatever, you can do therapy whenever and wherever. So that's how convenient therapy is becoming. Okay, so we don't really have excuses not to seek them. All right, next slide. So how can a therapist help? Now, I know you're probably like, how can a therapist help me? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to get my business together. How can they help me? What do they know about this? So for leaders and business owners, scheduling regular session with a mental health professional to avoid burnout or depression can not only reduce stress levels, but can also keep the business and its leadership intact. That's one of the reasons why. What I want you to know, and I hope I probably have this later on in the slide, but a therapist, we have them specialized for different things. Even when I looked up some therapists today, I typed in therapists for entrepreneurs. We specialize in whatever it is that you're looking for. I specialize in suicide prevention and depression. Some therapists they're specialized in grief. So they have therapists who are specialized in helping entrepreneurs with their business, with the mental capacity until they are where they can be alone. We literally have it. And I'm gonna show you where you can look for it later on. But I want you to know we specialize in what you need. So don't say we can't help. We can help. All right. So benefits of a therapist. We help reduce anxiety. You can get very anxious. If you've never had anxiety before, sometimes some people, entrepreneurs, they develop anxiety when they start a business. Like, where did this come from? Why do I feel like this? Because you're anxious, you have anxiety. Because you're worried about, is my business gonna, is it gonna flourish or is it gonna fail? Are my workers doing their job? Am I doing the right thing? Sometimes we actually start a business and say, well, am I supposed to be doing this? You'll get to that point where you get so confused because of so much, you're overwhelmed. So it helps reduce anxiety. It helps reduce stress. We teach coping skills when it comes to stress. And coping skills are things such as, like I said, journaling is a coping skill. Talking to the therapist, that's one. We talk about your problems, exercising. It's so many different coping skills. It's crazy. They help you with that. They help you foster emotional wellness. Sometimes you get so caught up in your business that you lose your emotional state. It's just like you're numb and blank. You just know about business. You're so caught up in that. So they help you, keep that going. Nurture relationships. Some of us will start businesses, we end up losing relationships. So because of whatever it could have been, but we end up doing that. So it helps you like nurture them, nurture those relationships, even with your employees. That's big. One thing, you want to keep retention, you got to cater to your employees. Seriously. When I was a worker, I wanted to be catered to. And if I feel comfortable and loved and taken care of, I'm gonna continue to come back and brag about your business. Increase self-care, help with triggers. So I wanted to say that because some of us have triggers that we have not addressed, or some things that we have not addressed. So as a person starting a business, I'm just gonna give an example. You know that rejection is one of your hard things. Like you hate rejection. Rejection just literally brings you down. Like, I hate to be rejected. So in a business, somebody may say, I don't want to buy it. I don't like that. They reject your offer. They reject wanting to invest in your business. You'll be told no a lot of times. But guess what? If that triggers you, then a therapist can help you actually maneuver through that trigger so that you'll be able to deal with a rejection if it happens again. It helps decrease self-criticism. We do that a lot. Entrepreneurs, I know you do. And increase self-compassion. It's one of the biggest things, okay? So I did put the places that you can look for therapies. These are just two, but these are ones that I use a lot. I'm actually on both of these websites myself. I'm a therapist my platform is on both of these websites. You have Therapy for Black Girls and Psychology Today. And what I like about both, especially Psychology Today, is that you can put in your zip code or wherever you live, whatever state. You can put in your insurance, or in some therapists, they do have like these great sliding fee scales. And you can put in entrepreneur, small business. You can put in all of those things, and the therapist for you, for what you're looking for, will come up. So I hope that you can utilize Psychology Today and Therapy for Black Girls, as they have different therapists that cater to any of your needs for as you begin to build your business, or if you're an entrepreneur and you have longevity of it, how to maintain it. And then when our mental health is where it needs to be, we get the money. You get it, right? You're right. Your mental health where it needs to be. Deion Sanders. I Am Athlete, and I just watched it. Was it yesterday? And Deion Sanders says, when you look good, or when it feel good, you look good. When you look good, you do good. And when you do good, you get more money. It's the way he said. I don't know. I might have had it mixed up some way, but that is so true. So you got to feel good to go further with anything else. So when you have that together, that's when all of the money comes. That's when the rewards come. So I want to have that picture there. And benefits to awareness of mental health. Being mentally healthy has proven to help promote positive feelings at work. You feel safe. You're happy, and you engage better with everybody. You know how to handle whatever coming your way. And it says you'll be able to handle stress better. So those are some of the benefits of awareness to mental health. So the last thing I wanted to say is just make your mental health a priority. I'm telling you, it all starts up here. Whatever's up here, then you'll start doing it. Like you act on whatever you think. You know what I'm saying? You feel about whatever you think. So once you get this together, as you're starting a business or you have one, an entrepreneur, it is so beneficial once you start to work on yourself and start to understand my mental health matters, because that's what drives me. And it's okay to seek out a therapist. As I stated, there is a difference between a therapist and a pastor, and we love our spiritual guidance, like we love that. However, most of them are from that biblical standpoint, and we have done research on what you're looking for. We have done case studies. We have went to school to cater just to you for your need. So I just want to encourage you all to seek a therapist, as well as take heed to your mental health.
Look, thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. Exceptional presentation. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered the basis of everything. We've got some late listeners just coming in. And so at this point, I want to open the question and answer segment. And one of the guests said, thank you for your time in the comments. We really enjoyed it. You provided just an in-depth presentation, and I sincerely thank you for that. And so at this point, we want to jump in first and just, get right into the questions that we may have. And so usually when we have these type of events, I send a question bank out to just my whole contact list. And so if they can't attend, if there's a time conflict of some sort, what they'll do is they'll provide us with information and questions. So I've got a couple of questions, and I know time probably won't permit us to kind of just go through the whole questions and answers. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the first question that I have. Okay, if you're ready, you just let me know.
I'm ready.
Okay, you good to go? Okay, great.
Let's go.
And again, and the presentation was exceptional. It really was. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, anyone that's just coming on, we've recorded this. And so we'll send this out to everybody, and she'll be able to use it for her graphic use and things of that nature. So we really thank you for it. Why do small business owners often ignore their mental health?
Because they're so focused on really getting their business together. That your business becomes your baby. And when you have a baby, when women birth babies, what they cater to the most, they give all their attention to their baby. So you forget all the rest of the signs of mental health, or that it's deteriorating or whatever, because I got to cater to my baby. My baby's so important to me right now. It's just all about this baby. It's all about my business. And just to add to that, sometimes like when you miss a lot of stuff because of your business. Sometimes, like for married people, I have seen it and heard of it, but for married couples, sometimes a husband can have two wives, or a wife can have two husbands. And why? Because your business becomes your wife. So they're competing with each other. So basically you're catering to that. And that's pretty much why they overlook it.
That's so well said. And that part about the two wives and two husbands part, it happens. You're absolutely right. You get so consumed, and you know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, has the current COVID-19 crisis just placed more pressure on the mental health for small business owners?
It has. COVID-19. Okay, so of course COVID-19 happened, and a lot of the small businesses had to close down. They didn't have the funds. They didn't have the revenue to keep coming in. And what I saw was the influx of clients that were entrepreneurs, small business owners that, could not handle what was going on. One, because, it maybe have where some signs there about your mental health before you overlooked it, but once this happened, you can't control the pandemic. So it's like, what can I do? My business is gone. This is what I put all my effort into. So they come to therapy to kind of talk about the loss. Basically, it's just like losing a person. Your business is like a person. So guess what? You're grieving it. You're mourning your business. And what we do when we have grief, we go to grief counseling from time to time. So basically we were doing it for some of the small business owners. Yeah.
That's awesome. COVID-19 was such a very, very stressful, horrible situation, I think, for many. And, even for me, you go through that period of depression. And so you, like you say, grievance counseling and just being able to talk with someone can really help you out a lot.
That's very true.
And so, which brings me to my third question here. And you have to bear with me because I've got a list of about
no, it's okay.
questions. And so I'm just trying to go through them and pick the, the ones that'll be perfect
Yeah,
for
okay.
what we talk about.
That's fine.
Okay. As many small business owners work alone, how can this environment potentially lead to mental health issues?
Because they said it's alone. So being alone already makes us feel some type of way. We feel like hopeless, like we're by ourselves. So as you work alone, you don't have that support or whoever else that is, that words on your mental health. So the word alone itself, that was just it kind of answered itself. Alone, the word itself would cause mental health issues, seriously.
And I believe, and I think, for me, while I was working during COVID, I spent a lot of time, just working by myself, and, as a researcher, you understand, you spend a lot of time by yourself, and you're right. It can be very, very stressful,
Yes.
but I mean, you have to find that quiet space, which brings me to my follow-up question. Is there a thin line between that alone time and that quiet space for reading? Can you really, be stressed out from that quiet space of reading?
Well, reading, it depends on how you use the read. So if the reading is like a coping skill, because reading is a coping skill, it's one of the things you can help maintain your mental health. If you're reading to gain knowledge, you're reading for your enjoyment, that's great. If you're not reading for your enjoyment, or you just in this quiet space and you're overthinking, like, what's gonna happen? I'm worried about this, I'm worried about this. You're by yourself because you don't want to hear anything but your mind. So that's when it becomes an issue versus having a relaxing time by yourself. So those are the difference with that. That's why I tell people, like, when I isolate myself, I said, okay, so isolation is bad, but how do you use it? And they just tell me the different things that they do. So sometimes isolation is good for whatever that moment is, but you would know from the feeling of enjoyment that you have from it or not.
Wow. It's interesting. Yeah, some great answer the questions. Great. This Dr. Johnson, y'all, she is phenomenal here. So again, I got some more questions, and one of the questions was a great friend of mine, and he asked, what is your key advice to a small business owner, an entrepreneur, to look after their mental health issues?
The self-assessment test, my tip is to do them pretty often. Maybe every 2 months, maybe every 3 months, do a self-assessment test. Make sure that you keep a log of doing or taking care of your self-care. I don't care if you go get a massage once a month, do that so that you won't, so nothing major can happen. But my tip is definitely to do a self-assessment, do like a self-reflection, like, okay, where am I mentally? Yeah, for a great example, yesterday I did a mental check-in with everybody, from my business. Let's do a mental check-in from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Where are you and how are you feeling? And it was crazy to see all the answers. Even myself, I said between a 6 and a 7. So that lets me know I need to work on something. Something's not where it needs to be. I'm going lower and lower. So I would say do a mental check-in. And that's just you doing it yourself. Like, make sure to keep a log of it. Okay, this is what I scored last time. This is how I feel. Journaling helps you keep tab on what you're going through or what you're feeling as well. So I would say keep some of those tips. Keep some of those things in place so that you can keep a healthy eye on your mental health.
Excellent. Look, and that check-in that you did yesterday, I participated.
You did?
I was 10 because I was excited about this.
Very exciting. Yeah.
I really was. Because mental health is so important. It really is. And just having somebody to be able to just share your thoughts outside of a therapeutic situation is awesome. And even and to add to the massage, it's also good to every now and again at least get you a deep tissue massage. That will help. It does. So I think that's awesome. My next question: all business owners have a level of anxiety, obviously, right?
I just said it.
You did. You just stated that. So how important is it to realize when anxiety is becoming a potentially chronic mental health issue?
Anxiety sometimes anxiety can be good. I don't have my material in front of me. Just a little anxiety can be good to keep you on your toes and like be aware. But when that anxiety takes over your mental state, when that anxiety takes over your productivity, it's an issue. When your anxiety does not allow you to even when you see your signs changing, and you can people start having panic attacks and anxiety attacks off the smallest stuff. So when you see that, that's definitely when you need to go see somebody.
Right.
But whenever you're not productive, whenever it's taking over what you would usually have control of, when your anxiety starts taking control over you, that's when you need to get that checked.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're right. A little bit of anxiety is okay, to keep you on your toes. I tell people all the time, if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, you need to be on your toes all the time. I mean, it's a competition, even when you ain't. When you think we ain't compete, we compete.
So true.
You know what I mean? And so, okay, see here.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Stephen. Is that you?
It is.
Yeah, that's me.
Absolutely. Go
Dr.
ahead.
Johnson.
Yes, sir.
So question for you. Oh, I'm special. So, so question for you. Well, a double header question. Is it possible to have, different scales of mentality, as far as when you check in, I can be mentally high, in a high place at my job, but a low mental place in my, in my personal life. How can I find ways to balance both so that my overall mentality scale is not, you know, challenged by different things? Because I think those things can affect your mentality, your overall mental scale. But how can you separate your job, your personal, your relationship, things? What are some things you could do so that your overall mental health will not be affected by the levels of mental health that you have in certain areas of your life?
I always say boundaries, put boundaries on everything. Like, don't let something overlap that, right? So put like, for example, have a boundary with your job. So good. Okay, I guess this will work. So I know that I'm putting in this much time with my job, and I know right now I'm frustrated with my job, but I can't bring my job home. Home got to be home. So I got to put a boundary there and then go back and work on work tomorrow. Or just boundaries, just making sure that you address whatever it is in that moment with that type of whatever level that is. Because even though you may be at a 10, 9 with your career, and for example, you're a 10, 9 with your career and a 6 in your personal life, eventually, if you don't have those two separated or have a boundary, that 6 is going to go over into your business. You know what I'm saying? So you have to tackle it all in the moment that it's in. Tackle what it is in that moment. So tackle home with home, tackle work with work. Because if you don't and address it, it's going to start overlapping with each other. So that's why I say I always have those boundaries in place, and just don't let them overlap. I think that's when sometimes it happens.
No, that's great. So one more question for you, Doc. What's a healthy boundary that I can set personally, or people can set personally, that you can bring, instead of bringing the negative things, right, the negative way you feel at home, or feel at work, to your home? How can I make a healthy, or set a healthy boundary to take the positive things where I am healthy at, like at home, or in my personal life? Say if my mental level is high in those areas, how can I bring a healthy boundary over to my career, and be positive here, and I'm happy at home. I don't bring nothing at home, but I want to bring my happiness to my job so that I can work to my best ability.
That's a good question. So what I was gonna say, I didn't lose my thought. So for instance, I would start putting the boundaries in place. I'm sure you have boundaries at home, right? So to keep everything in this order, you start by putting a boundary around what you bring home. So for example, I worked as a social worker with my phone's on 24/7. But I had to have a cutoff limit. You cannot call me at 5 o'clock. I'm not dealing with this after 5 o'clock. I'm gonna deal with my family. I'm gonna talk with my support system. That's that healthy boundary, right? Talk with them about the boundaries or whatever. Don't let it be too confidential. Talk with them, go ahead and, kind of talk about it, let it out with them, get advice, and then you bring it back. So for example, I think I can use you an example. So sometimes we have issues at our jobs, right? We have these little moments where the job stresses me out, but at home we're good. So I can, if time allows, or it's where, you know, it's not overcrowding into my personal life where I cannot be my best self or be present with my family or you, then I can talk about it with you and you can say, you can give me that advice, you know, maybe you should do this different. It ain't nothing wrong with getting advice when the time permits. So I think that's something healthy because you have those healthy boundaries with your family as well. You know, we'll talk about it and what not to. So I would just say that are some things that you can do as well. I hope I answered that question to the best of my ability.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Stephen, for answering your questions. It was such an honor to have you come on and answer some of your questions. It's certainly a pleasure. I guess my next question would be, Dr. Johnson, are there any tools, you know, we're getting close till we wrap up, and I think I have maybe about 4 or 5 more questions, and then we'll kind of just go into closing remarks and anybody else that, you know, may want to have a question. I try to get us out of here at 7:30 if at all possible.
Okay.
Are there any tools that small business owners can use to keep an eye on their mental health?
I always say that self-assessment test, have an accountability partner. How about that?
That's
Somebody that can keep you in line and say, no, you doing something totally different. Now that's not you. You did that, and that's not you, you know. So keep that accountability partner to say they can watch you and keep you accountable of your actions. And if they start to see you deteriorate in some way, or you know, your behavior changes, they can check you, and then it's like, okay, this person, they told me this, I got to go get this fixed. I got to see what's going on. The accountability partner, I would definitely say, is what I would use.
I think that's awesome. Accountability is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as an entrepreneur, you have to be accountable for your own personal actions, and then just having somebody, like you say, from a day to day to check you on those different behaviors. Because one of the things that's important to me as a coach is when I coach people and entrepreneurs is that we don't necessarily coach that person, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of coach the behaviors of that person. And so it's important that in a professional environment that we're always coaching the behaviors, you know, because I'm big on that person, whoever I'm coaching, the activities that they're doing day to day. I feel like if you're doing the activities that generate the revenue, you'll be able to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of which brings me to my next segment of questions, and just bear with me because I'm going through my emails and questions and things of that nature. And so I guess here's a good one. How can I tell if a visit to a mental health therapist and the information that they provided was good or bad?
That's tricky. Well, one thing about it, we will hope that the therapists remain very professional and give the correct information. Most times, well, during the first session, it's not so much information given, it's more so you telling me about yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't me giving you anything. You telling me, what are you here for? What's your goal? What do you want to work on? I can't provide you with something I don't know. So if you are receiving something as soon as you go to a clinic to get seen or, you know, start a therapy session and that happens, then maybe that is a red flag. But I can't give you anything that I don't know about. You know, you tell me. And that's it just varies. That's kind of hard to say. I'm not gonna lie, like, because we have to withstand the codes what we live by, the codes what we did an oath to. So it may sometimes, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real honest. Sometimes it's not they gave the wrong information, you just didn't want to hear it. And therapists have to be, you know, brutally honest most times. We do. Even if it just pisses you off, we have to tell you what the real is. We can't judge you, so we have to truly say what it is. So it just could be a lot of those things.
Right. It's like,
I hope I made it. It could be that for real.
Oh no, you're doing an exceptional job, and I think the audience is very impressed with, you know, just your knowledge base and just your ability to kind of cipher through these questions. Like I said, these are coming from different entrepreneurs and professionals that, you know, have, and then what we do is we take the videos and break them down and send them a copy of that particular question that they asked and the answer to it. So we try to do that. I've got 2 more, and I think we'll wrap it up here. My next question will be, how can a person use distractions to manage difficult thoughts and feelings, especially during COVID? That's been a big concern for people in those situations.
How can they, say the question one more time?
Use a distraction specifically to manage difficult thoughts and feelings.
It ain't good to distract yourself from it all the time. Now, of course, if you're in a moment where you cannot address, you have to distract yourself. Sometimes that's deep breathing. I mean, you really do. Like, if you're so upset or like a big thing happened and it upsets you, kind of walk off, distract yourself, walk off, do deep breathing. Sometimes we have to listen to music, take our mind away from it, kind of talk it out with somebody, or, you have different ways of distracting yourself. But what I want to say is never neglect addressing it though. Just don't do that. It's cool to get a distraction from time to time. We can't address something every moment of the day. Like, we have to distract ourselves with whatever our coping skill is. So it's just helping you to go through it. Your coping skill is somewhat of a distraction. So it just helps you to kind of go through whatever it is that you're dealing with, but still address it later on. So the thing is, you're going to constantly have to distract yourself if you don't address it. So then it's like we're wasting time. You just constantly just trying to run from it, So just keep that in mind.
You're right. You can't waste time. You're right about that. Especially when you're dealing with mental health issues. I think the biggest thing for anybody with it is to really first come one with themselves to know that they have an issue that needs to be addressed. Mm-hmm. And you start, we all been to counseling. And when you start going to counseling and just talking to somebody, like you say, having that accountability partner, it makes a big difference. And so with my last question, I promise I won't ask you.
No, that's good.
You asked, your audience have been great. We appreciate everybody that came out, even those that wasn't able to. Often at times it's difficult for people to get on. But my last and final question, how can I reframe a situation, a mental health issue or situation that I'm going with, and find more balanced perspectives, without, say for instance, I'm not in a situation where, I can't get to a mental health therapist. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't pick up Dr. Johnson and say, hey, Dr. Johnson, I'm having a breakdown or meltdown. How do I reframe that situation and try to gain a balanced perspective, within that circumstance?
So that's when you utilize your coping skills. So basically we won't always be able to contact our therapist, but that therapists have taught you things that you can use in the time of distress until the next time you visit them. Sometimes when I can just talk about overthinking. A lot of entrepreneurs, we may overthink because we're worried about a lot. We just got a lot going on, so we overthink stuff from time to time. And then as you overthink or you're overwhelmed, then you start to have negative thoughts. So what you have to do, you have to reframe your thoughts. They teach you that. How to reframe your thought from negative to positive, how to actually take the irrational away and have a rational thought. And that's mostly when it starts, it's like a thought and then everything just starts to come. So that's how you can reframe it as well. That's a part of a coping skill too. So you have things like that you can use. Like they teach you how to deal with that when you can't reach your therapist now. They do. So you always have your tools. It's called a toolbox. I keep mine. It's called a toolbox. I always have your coping skills in a box so you can have one for whatever situation you have until you can go to your therapist that time, because you want to be self-sufficient. You can't just depend on a therapist for everything, because it's going to be a time when you have to be released from us. So we want you to be self-sufficient and learn for yourself. So just always have that toolbox to help you refrain from whatever it is you're dealing with until you can address that situation.
Awesome. Look, I felt like I was in therapy session myself, just taking all the information in. You did an excellent job. Steve and several other people came on and asked some great questions, and that was just such huge for us. And to all our listeners, it was just a privilege. I know they were very thrilled to hear Dr. Johnson. And what I took from everything is really just a matter of just controlling your thoughts. The saying, control your thoughts, control your life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's awesome. And so I'm looking here, and are there anyone else that may want to chime in and get a question in before we go? We've got about 2 minutes as we close this out. Well, with that being said, I appreciate Dr. Johnson for coming out. We're definitely going to have her again as this webinars develop and we become more enhanced and grow. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming out and speaking with us. To all our listeners, if you requested in the registration or if you just hopped on the Zoom, please let me know now in the chat box that you would like to speak with someone about mental health therapy. To all the listeners that requested that list will be forwarded over to Dr. Johnson in the coming weeks, and she'll be in touch with you guys. We appreciate everybody for coming out. Dr. Johnson, anything else you'd like to share?
I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to go ahead and do my shameful plug. Can y'all please check out Wine Therapy? It's on YouTube. It is my platform where Stephen Robinson helps me out a whole lot with it. So it's my platform. We literally have life conversations, hard topics that we don't usually talk about amongst each other. You can go in and have a little therapy that's free. That's how I look at it. So I just want y'all to continue to see that. It's Wine Therapy Wednesday, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. We're in season 1, so I hope you enjoy that. And we'll have a website coming soon. So that'll be something that you can have access to.
I appreciate you, Dr. Johnson, once again for coming out. That's right, guys. Go check out Wine Therapy. I had a chance to check it out. Please go check it out. You can check Wine Therapy out on Facebook, Instagram. Dr. Johnson, go ahead and give them your Instagram and your Facebook page. If you'll put that in your chat box. If you can't, just go ahead and verbalize it if you can't make the chat.
Okay, no problem. So my Facebook is Marissa Johnson. And my Instagram is Dr. Marissa _K.
Excellent, excellent. Well, hey, we appreciate you again, Dr. Johnson, for coming out. Thank all the audience who came out and participated in mental health therapy. Again, these webinars we have monthly. Next month, here on December the 3rd. Well, let me see.
Money.
We've got we've got our book writer, LaMonica Nolan, who has recently wrote a book. She's going to come talk about some of the challenges of being a book writer. And I'm telling you guys going to be surprised and when you hear how she was able to publish her book.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So again, we really appreciate you guys for coming on. This is something that we're going to continue. And as we grow, you guys are going to grow with us. Again, thank you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. You all have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. This was a great show. Did pretty good. I've got to try to figure out how to get those virtual back screens set up. Let me go in and thank everybody. Register.